Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles Devance, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show. We'll cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, or entertainment, and we'll give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. So, as you guys know, about earlier this week, we got the news that the Lakers were selling for $12.5 billion. And the reason that surprised everyone was because the Lakers were just sold last year for $10 billion to Mark Walters, who I believe is the owner of the Dodgers, and stuff like that. So we were like, wait, why is this happening all of a sudden? Right? Why is this happening? Like, who sells a team 1 year into buying that team? It made no sense. And then you heard some of the owners were Josh Kushner, who was the brother of Jared Kushner, and then of course who's the son-in-law of Donald Trump. And then you have Bob Iger, who I believe is the former CEO of Disney, and I don't former current, but he's associated with Disney. So initially, when I heard that, I was like, man, these guys got a lot of money. Like, they got a lot of money to be out here making boss moves like this. But then I came across a video yesterday from Breaking Point, and Pablo Torre finds out. And it had the following headline stating this. It says, Pablo Torre, insane corruption investigation behind Lakers sale. And I'm like, oh, Lord have mercy. Here we go. Pablo Torre then got a hold of this story here. And man, he's about to go to work on it. But before we even get into what Pablo said, today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, Kachava. Now, before we continue, let me tell you something. This year, I got serious about taking care of my body, my training, my nutrition, all of it. Nothing extreme. I just wanted to take better care of myself. But my days get busy between work, moving around, taking care of my daughter, trying to go to the gym, buying groceries. Life fills up fast. And when it does, nutrition is the first thing to fall apart. I would skip meals, grab whatever was easy, and feel it by the afternoon. Then I started using Kachava's new travel pack. Just one packet gives you complete nutrition ready for life to go on. Plant-based protein, fiber, greens, vitamins, probiotics, omegas, electrolytes, and more. No artificial flavors, no sweeteners, no soy, no gluten, no preservatives, and no animal products. All the nutrition my body craves in one delicious shake, packed to go. It keeps my energy steady all day, and more importantly, it actually tastes amazing. If you have been meaning to take better care of yourself, this is the easiest place to start. Take your daily ritual with you. Go to Kachava.com and use code DREAMERS for 15% off your first order. That's Kachava, Kachava.com, code DREAMERS. All right, fantastic. So what we want to do is we're going to play what Pablo had to say on Breaking Point, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show.
Covering the Los Angeles Lakers, very strange situation. It appears now that the Los Angeles Lakers will be sold to Bob Iger and Joshua Kushner, who is Jared Kushner's brother, some 1 year after Mark Walter bought the team. This comes amid Mark Walter's own personal problems whenever it relates to a federal investigation and, I believe, alleged financial crimes. So, Pablo, can you put this together? How extraordinary is it? It doesn't seem very often that these major sports franchises are sold under these circumstances to Kushner's brother. What angles are you seeing here?
I've never seen a story like this, where the guy who bought the team, the Lakers, the most iconic franchise maybe in the NBA, sells it after 9 months. That alone, the timeline is frankly inexplicable, absent other fascinating reasons. At the same time, keep in mind that Mark Walter, who has one of my favorite superlatives, he is famously private. He was not a guy that people understood to have enough money to evaluate and purchase the Lakers at $10 billion when he bought them in the first place. And so I was tracking that. And then you get the federal investigation thanks to a whistleblower inside one of his companies. And I'll just summarize the alleged scandal there briefly, which is that there's a thing in securities law called related party transactions, where if you have a material relationship, a substantial relationship with another company, like say you also own that, you got to disclose it. And apparently, according to this whistleblower, there was an undisclosed related party relationship, and Mark Walter had said it was about $2 billion in revenue. Allegedly, we're looking at $16 to $17 billion. So this is a massive story that broke in mid-July in the financial press. And days after, one of the great symbolic and fascinating things happens, which is that Mark Walter, who also owns the Dodgers,
Right.
the World Series winning Dodgers, goes to visit the White House. And the thing that I saw that I was tracking as soon as I saw this was he gave Donald Trump not just a jersey with his name on it, which is standard practice, he gives him a World Series ring. He put a ring on it.
It's like Putin. Yeah.
Well, I asked around, I asked other owners of sports teams, have you guys ever seen the president getting a ring, a championship ring, at the White House visit? And no one can recall this happening. And so you just have, in the context of all of this, at the highest level, the Trump administration and the power, let's just say it out loud, the power of the pardon, which is looming in the background around all of this. And so that's the one story. But then, guys, Josh Kushner and Bob Iger. And again, I worked for Bob Iger when he ran Disney and Disney owned ESPN. Bob Iger, I know to be a longtime sports fan. He has recently been advising Josh Kushner with Thrive Eternal. And Josh is the quote unquote good Kushner. So we'll just leave that as a superlative of its own. Hang in the air there for a second. But their whole thesis here is that we're going to invest in sports teams. And they've done so. They bought a share of the Giants in Major League Baseball. But the most recent thing that was happening concurrent with the Mark Walter story in the same timeline was their attempt to private equity, let's make it a verb, private equityify the World Cup. And that whole thing kicked off a whole scandal in which they were basically defenestrated. Gianni Infantino, Donald Trump's good friend and ally, he was in this proposal to sell shares of a new spin-off company that FIFA would make, in which Josh Kushner and Bob Iger would be his partners.
I didn't
in
realize
this giant deal. And so that falls apart because Europe revolts.
Right.
They do the thing, we've talked about this before, but the private equityification of all of sports, your appetite for this, your mileage varies. And in Europe, they were like the World Cup. Whoa, that's a bridge too far. And so that deal is killed. But now you have these two parallel tracks happening in which Kushner and Iger are like, okay, so what do we pivot to? They were looking to buy the Las Vegas NBA expansion team, but okay, that wasn't happening as quickly as they wanted. Over here, Mark Walter is like, okay, I'm dealing with a federal investigation in which billions of dollars of my money is now at stake. And in the middle of this Venn diagram emerges the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, and the Los Angeles Lakers. And this happens over 72 hours, which is also an unprecedented timeline, to be very clear.
When did the investigation of Mark Walter start? Was it under the Trump administration?
Yeah, I mean, so this was, according to reporting, and Bloomberg, the Financial Times have done great work on this. Reportedly, this has been going on since last year. And a whistleblower is the one who identified this, kicking off what seems to be I'll put it this way, for the sake of just discretion, an ongoing and deepening story about how much money does this guy have. When I say that he didn't obviously have enough money to buy the Lakers in the first place, I will tell you that he went around, Mark Walter did, and was talking to everybody he could on background saying, no, I got it. But there's another player when it comes to that story that is very interesting when it comes to the federal investigation and when it comes to the question of how he afforded it, which is Abu Dhabi. And so not to make this now like a Marvel Cinematic Universe thing where all of these sort of like big characters like emerging through portals, but the story of Abu Dhabi is quite relevant here because billions of dollars from Mubadala, which is the sovereign wealth fund of Abu Dhabi, came in and backed Mark Walter. And Mark Walter was asked, do you have the money to buy the Lakers? And he said, no, I got it. But in the background, the question had always been, how much is Abu Dhabi responsible for the ability of Mark Walter to buy this team? And so the reason I say sovereign wealth funds are here in the story alongside private equity is that these are two forces that are, even absent this Venn diagram, actively reshaping who can afford to buy these teams.
Yes.
Because when a team is valuated at $12.5 billion, that's not only the highest price you've ever seen in professional sports, it's also so rich that individuals alone cannot afford it.
Yes,
and so
only
how
entities.
do you support a price structure like that?
Right.
And so the question that I have looking ahead is, who else is in this ownership group? Is Abu Dhabi going to exit? Are they going to stay? How do they figure into all of this? It's another thing that I am actively very curious about.
Excellent. So you heard what he had to say. So according to Pablo, Walter was in debt for billions of dollars and he needed cash quickly. and he just got a $2.5 billion cash injection. Obviously, we don't know if there's taxes on that, whatever. I don't know. But it causes a lot of people to raise the question, because this was he was being investigated by the federal government. And now people could be wondering, well, wait a minute, now that this sale has gone through and has been sold to someone that's connected to the president's family, will this investigation go away? Right? Or is he going to get a pardon or something like that, right? And then of course he spoke about foreign money, like from the Saudis, and this really shows you that there's another world that many of us are not aware of, right? And you have to be in the know to really understand what's going on. And things are never what they seem on its face. Another thing worth pointing out: when the story came out about the FBI investigation into Mark Walter, notice no one touched it. ESPN didn't touch. No one spoke about it. I saw the post on my timeline, but I didn't see any major news network reacting to it, talking about it, nothing of the sort. But if Pablo is going to get his investigative glasses out and decide that he wants to look into this story, I'm pretty sure he'll find something. And I'm going to tell you why. Just today, an email got leaked of the Clippers trying to put Kawhi Leonard and his uncle into connection with one of the sponsors. Had Pablo not kicked this entire investigation off, we wouldn't know any of this. We wouldn't know any of it. So I definitely think there's more to what we see, what we have been told about this Lakers. I 100% believe that, because no one makes an investment like this and in 2 years and then a year later sells it for 2.5. He could held it for 5 years and sold it for way more. So it made no sense. And now that Pablo's reporting this, it has me really thinking. So you guys let me know what you think about this here. If you think there's some funny business that went on, let me know in the comment section below.